So guys, would you give a big round of applause to Charlie?
Thank you so much. This film hits me the same way it hits Eric every time I see it. It hits a heartstrings hard, but it just strengthens my resolve. It's given me my purpose. I had to stop working 5 years ago because of the side effects of the chemo, the radiation, and a number of issues that it caused. But I felt I still needed to give back. I could still do something to help the community, help my community of Scituate, Massachusetts. Now I deal with patients all over the country. Even outside of our country, I've dealt with people in British Columbia, Australia. We FaceTime, we do it on Zoom, we use email, and people reach out to me, they hear my story, and they want to know what was my trick. I don't know, there was no trick. I'm not sure why I'm still here, you know. Erich referred to me as the rock star, and they used to say that at Dana-Farber all the time about me. These days they started referring to me as the unicorn, because they've never seen anything like me. That one I kind of like. If I write a book, Charlie the Unicorn, it's going to be the book. But really now, one of the missions, and why you're all here today, is we know that cancer touches all of us. You can't escape it. From the littlest kids to the oldest, family members. You either know someone who had it yourself, your spouse, a family member, a good close friend, and it is insidious. All cancers are insidious. You're sitting in a room one day and you're just told you have cancer and you have to deal with it. But when you have an institution like Dana-Farber at your back, that has your back, that's what makes the difference, and that's what we're doing here today, is trying to raise money for Dana-Farber and for the Jimmy Fund to try and figure out this particular type of cancer, glioblastoma. And when we get the panel group up here, you're going to meet Dr. Wen, you're going to meet Lisa Doherty, you're going to meet Linda Forsberg, you're going to meet a lot of us that are in the movie, are here tonight, and you're going to be able to ask us direct questions about our experiences. We will answer any questions. But the goal is, and I know this for a fact from Dr. Wen and from Dr. Reardon, my particular oncologist, the dream team as they're referred to in Boston, is that if they can unlock the secret to glioblastoma, if they can cure glioblastoma, it will unlock the cure for all solid tumor cancers. It has that potential. Because this is the most aggressive cancer known to man. And the idea is that if we can figure this one out, it could help every single cancer patient out there. So that's our goal. And that's what we're trying to do tonight. So I know that you know that your ticket sales tonight, 100% of the ticket sales are going towards the Jimmy Fund. And specifically in memory of Paul Bayne, for brain tumor research, for Dr. Wen and Dr. Reardon and their team to try and unlock this key. We also, you're going to see after this event, after the panel group, when we go for the reception, there are going to be posters being passed around where you have an opportunity to give an additional donation. Our goal for this event. Our first event we had in Warwick, Rhode Island at Paul's hometown for his 3 boys. One of his sons is here today, Luke, and you can meet him and talk with him. We raised about $1,000 for the Jimmy Fund. We were very proud of that fact because we pulled together the event in about 3 weeks' time. This one we had a little bit more time. What I can tell you right now is we're roughly around $12,000 that we've raised. So the goal, though, our goal for tonight, though, is to raise $25,000. So what I want to ask is to look deep in your hearts. Hopefully this movie moved you, and that you'll understand the seriousness of the disease. We all understand the seriousness of cancer. And just ask that we look deep into your hearts and donate more so that we can do more. Because we want to try and raise $25,000 tonight. Our panel group up, and we will start taking questions from the audience.
Paul's really good friends and went to college with him and was with him every step of the way through his treatments and was just incredible moral support. And Michel, Pascal is here as well. Is if you have any questions with regards to like how to calm the mind, like how do you get over the stress and you're dealing with a serious illness, how can you be calm? Kim Harriman is the group support leader. Thank you for being with us. I don't have a total introduction about you, but I'm sure it'll come out. Bob Hofmann, obviously we know because your daughter was in the film, and we thank you for your support and just letting us just showcase her. Thank you. Charles Benoit, as you know. Lisa Doherty, thank you for coming. Good to see you. You look so different without your medical garb on and stuff like that. And of course, Patrick Wen, you look fantastic. I haven't seen you in a couple of years. Thank you for coming out. It's a real pleasure for you to be here. Thank you so much. And of course, Reverend Linda Forsberg, who is Paul's pastor, correct? So, we want to get to questions right away. Who's handing up the microphone for questions? Okay, we got that. Okay, great. Does anybody want to start off? Charles, want to start off if you want to say anything? Just a microphone right there.
Just again, I want to thank everyone for coming and how important this movie was to all of us that were part of it. It really made a huge difference and I think it's going to help a lot of people. This is only the second time that we've shown it to a general audience, but our idea is that we're going to start making this available to the general public very soon so that we can really help people with their diagnosis early on, to help show them what it's like to walk in someone's shoes with cancer. For caregivers, I think it's very important. I think I'm just happy that everyone is here today.
So, my sister is the one, Lisa, come over here, Lisa. Come on here. Lisa knows Paul. I didn't know Paul. Tell us a story how this all started.
Well, let's see. Paul and I reunited a few years ago at a college reunion, and it was too soon after that he had told me that the news of kid cancer and how he was trying to kind of manage that whole thing, and so we would check in kind of with each other. I was going through a graduate program and there was a lot going on, and kind of support me. And then I would text him or call him and support or whatever he was going through. And so we kind of developed this, this supportive relationship just back and forth. And at the same time I was doing that and also working with a lot of hospice patients. So just kind of led up to the program that I'm in, or was in. And so one thing led to the next, and then I had let my brother know that, you have a fraternity brother that's going through this, and he's at that point, he was, single. We had just recently divorced and had 3 sons, and, had this terrible news that was given him. So they got together, and then voila, they kind of formed this, came up with this idea to develop this film. I guess I would have to say, as I felt like maybe I was maybe one of those people in the group that was just one of many, many, many supporters, caregivers, just we all kind of looked out for each other. And one thing I didn't expect was to receive so much from him, and I would just receive so much support from him and good advice, and the thing is that he never seemed like he was sick to me. Just never, I don't know, it was just like he was in the film. I don't know if he just covers it up well, or I don't know what, but he just had this joy in him that was really encouraging to me, going through what I was kind of going through at that time. So I was just delighted that they put this film together, and just to be a part of that. And that it was and is a vehicle of hope for everyone who finds themselves caring for others. They're in really kind of maybe desperate straits, or handling illness, or are sick, or facing a terminal illness, or wherever. It's just, I've learned a lot about just how support probably is kind of the number one medication you can take. I think Dr. Vick said that in the film. So anyway, it's Paul. But I'm glad that his legacy continues. So anyway, thanks for letting me talk.
My sister actually called me, Eric, why don't you call Paul and see if you can't send him a meal? So I called Paul and I said, Paul, I heard that you got a serious situation. Can I give you a meal? Can I do something for you? And then he proceeds to tell me that, I'm thinking about, I'm only supposed to live 12 months, Eric. I'm at 13. I said, wow. And he said, I want to write some notes down. I want to write a little story. And he said, you know what, let me think about this. Do you think this thing could really be a fantastic film? It's like, don't you want to live longer? Because yes, I want to live longer. So why don't we could just chronicle how you do everything and see maybe there is a way you can live longer if you get this diagnosis. And so he goes, all right, why don't you pitch that to me? So about a week later, I called him up and I said, hey, this is my idea. I want to involve the best doctors, the best spiritual leaders, the best physicians, the best physical therapists, and his own support system. He loved the idea, and I said, now you got to raise a lot of money. He didn't like that, but we did. His support group was fantastic. And starting with the support group was Gustavo. Can you give us a background about Paul, a little story about what it was like hanging out with him? And give us some insight that we can love. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience?
Well, that's hot. Yeah, I can. So Emma was from Scituate. I see many friendly faces here tonight. So thank you all very much for coming out for this. And she was absolutely an amazing kid. But a diagnosis for anybody for cancer is really devastating. A diagnosis for a 17-year-old kid just completely knocks you off your feet. So what I can't and would never speak for Emma on her experience because it was very, very difficult. What I would say though is that there are a couple things I can say from our family who are going through it. One is, the first thing would be that the experience of cancer spreads much further, of course, than just the person that has cancer. And they are struggling mightily to get through it. But as it spreads out, it has a significant impact on others around them, in your family and things. And so, one thing I would say is, if you are experiencing this now and are going through it, is to take advantage of the counseling that you can find, those support services that you can find, to talk to other people about either, and everybody has their own path through this. There's no one right or wrong way to do it. But one thing that we did experience was you can get very focused on the person that has cancer, and everything else just blurs in your vision. And when you've got other little kids or other young kids that are still they're living through it also, and you're all trying to get through it together, it's really important to be able to reach out to others and get some help. The other thing I would recommend also is that if you are going through it, especially if you're going through GBM, and Charlie can tell you this, anybody can tell you this, when you go through that first set of treatment, first thing that happens is you get shot out of a cannon. Within 24 hours, we went from you have a brain tumor to you're in brain surgery. And that is shocking enough, but the reality of that is that you're having brain surgery. And you never know what's going to come out the other side of that. And so between that and then all of the downstream treatments, what I would say is that your support network is incredibly important, but if you can find somebody to specifically actually support you through the treatment process. And what I mean by that is document everything. Somebody that can help you document everything, because as good as all of the caregivers are, and they mean the best for everyone, there's a lot of people going through this. And so it's important for you to be able to keep track of, so what's happened? What did we try? No, we tried that 3 months ago. Remember, sometimes people just lose track of stuff. So it's really, really important. Like, my wife was unbelievable. She's not crazy organized as it is, but this was over the top. So she had 3-ring binders for every single visit, and all the notes for every visit, and things like that. And what we found is, as the process continues on, there are a number of different treatments that can be tried, and different things that some work, some don't, and some of these combinations of things, that drugs that happen, can have different types of side effects. So from a just completely sort of nuts and bolts perspective, we found that to be incredibly important, to be able to keep track of everything that you've gone through the process with. Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you, Bob, for sharing that. I want to let you, give him a hand. Absolutely. Really quick, this event would not have happened if it wasn't for an incredible amount of people from Scituate.
First, I want to say thank you for doing this project that tells the truth about GBM. And I had a tumor removed on March 22nd and was assigned to Dr. Bayne and to Lisa and to their team. And I just want to say how grateful I am for the folks at Brigham and Women's, for the folks at Dana-Farber, for Dr. Bayne, for Lisa, for Chrissy, for Johnny, for all the technicians. And honestly, I feel great. I am so grateful to my family and friends. It's been an interesting ride, but Charlie has been an incredible encouragement to me. And I want to thank him. Can we give him another round of applause? And he's inspired me to be an inspiration to others also, to give them hope. And I was so glad to see Paul's pastor here. And I know that God has me right where I'm supposed to be right now. And I'm very grateful for that. And I feel very blessed. So thank you all.
I called Charles maybe 3 times a day. He might call me 3 times a day. I said, Charles, how you doing? He says, I still got this migraine headache. It's been going on for 7 days. He didn't say that word, I say that. It's like, we have migraine for 7 days. He still answers my call. He's always wanted help. It's amazing. You're absolutely right. Who else has a question? Anybody for this incredible staff up here, for Dr. Wen, Kim, Bob? Yes.
Thank you for doing this film. It's truly wonderful. I just wanted to ask, this is mainly for Dr. Wen, who's a Doherty. Are there any new breakthrough treatments that you guys are excited about? We've heard about the polio vaccine.
So I think we've learned a lot in the last 10 years about glioblastoma, as much as any other cancer. I think we've also learned some of the reasons why it's so difficult to treat these tumors. There's the blood-brain barrier that keeps out 90% of cancer drugs from even getting there in the first place. But the other things that are really important is that there is what's called molecular heterogeneity. So the molecular changes that makes a tumor grow in one part of the brain is different from a different part of the brain. And that makes it really hard to use targeted drugs. And then we've also learned that the immune system is really suppressed in glioblastomas. So I'm sure all of you are aware, in many other cancers, you give drugs like checkpoint inhibitors and they have great results. In brain tumors, there are very few immune cells in the tumor, and it's really hard to boost that. But now we understand all this, and so that really helps us in trying to develop strategies to overcome these problems. So I don't think I've been as hopeful as I have in the last few years. We have a paper coming out in the next month or 2 that shows for the first time there's a targeted drug that works for a small subset of glioblastoma. Up until now, no targeted drugs has ever worked for glioblastoma. So I think we need to make progress a lot faster. I think we're getting there.
What background or inspires you to tackle these difficult subjects? Is there a story behind that?
That's a really good question. My background is literally direct response commercials and a lot of product commercials. And I've been in India 3 times and over Mexico doing different organizations that helped me, want me to make films for them. And once I started doing Paul's project, it was kind of like a vein I hit that I knew this is what I was called to do. Tell people stories, the stories that are not being told, essentially, that people won't pick up, Hollywood won't spend time for. And so, and then since this film, there's so many projects that have come out of this actually that I'm really excited about, like veteran suicide. I want America to stand up and start protecting those that protected us. And that's what Minus 22 is about. And so it's just that. You kind of as you go through life, you find something that you're really passionate about. And if I can tell any of you here tonight, whatever you love doing, you're passionate about, do it now. It's never too late. I was making a lot of money doing something completely different, which I completely hated. And I knew I was supposed to be a filmmaker. I've been filming my entire life, but my dad said, you gotta go to business school, and you gotta make a lot of money. And he was a filmmaker himself, to a certain extent, but he didn't want me going in that route. And I finally said, at 40 years old, I'm making a change. I have to start making films. And I just did it. So if whatever it is, just do it. You know, don't wait until you get a diagnosis or whatever it is. Do what you love to do now. It's hard, but it's worth it. So thank you for that question.
Thank you all for coming here today. This has been beautiful and really opened my heart to a lot of things. This question is for Dr. Wen. Dr. Wen, the glioblastoma, you said you're working on a current smart drug, one of those drugs that would help. And in the movie, it said glioblastoma was one of the, if you could cure glioblastoma, you could cure other cancers. Is that drug you're currently working on? Would that help as well? For other cancers?
That drug is used for it's a combination of drugs. It's used for other cancers as well. I think the importance of that study is that I think up until now the thought was that glioblastomas are too complicated, that we could never use drugs, targeted drugs, to treat glioblastomas. And so it's proof of the concept that this approach is reasonable. But there are many other approaches, especially with drugs that stimulate the immune system. And there's a lot of studies with viruses where we inject it into the tumor and that causes a lot of inflammation and helps the immune response fight the tumor. So there are many other strategies. I think the idea is that because it's probably the hardest cancer to treat, if we can develop strategies to help glioblastomas, it would help pancreatic cancer and all the other really hard cancers out there.
I have one other question about that. When he received the Avastin, did that give him any more time? Because you said some of those targeted drugs don't work, but I was curious about the Avastin.
The Avastin is an FDA-approved drug, and it's really good for the swelling around the tumors. So it's very good for helping people's quality of life. It makes them function better neurologically. It allows them not to use so much steroids, which has a lot of side effects. But in terms of prolonging life, that effect, unfortunately, is modest.
I was wondering if you and your team have had any, have you done any work with the focused ultrasound therapy that I've been reading about quite a bit lately, and what do you think of that? You could tell me a little bit about that, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
So we have some trials with focused ultrasound. So I mentioned earlier, one of the major barriers to success in treating glioblastomas is this blood-brain barrier. It's normally there to protect our brain from toxins in the environment, so it's a good thing normally. But if you're trying to give a drug to treat the tumor, it excludes most of them. So most of the cancer drugs out there don't get into the brain, they don't work. So this focused ultrasound, you lie in a machine that looks like an MRI, and then you get an injection of saline. And it's a combination of the ultrasound and the microbubbles of the saline that opens up the blood-brain barrier for a few hours. And so you can imagine during those few hours, if we had a drug that would have worked, we could only get through the blood-brain barrier. So we have a couple of trials looking at that. I think it's going to be something we're going to hear a lot more about.
Okay. Thank you. The film was amazing, and it's an amazing group of people working on it and up there. I wonder, this question might be for Kim. What are the important issues for caregivers, spouses, parents, that kind of thing?
That's a bit of a plant in the audience. Thank you, Susan. First of all, let me just say that I so appreciate hearing everyone's stories, and Bob, our families never crossed paths when Emma was sick, but I always felt connected to your family and moved by your story, so I really appreciate sitting next to you. I'm a social worker. I've led support groups of various sorts over the years, and but much of my connection to cancer comes from my dear husband, who's sitting here well tonight after being treated for 2 advanced cancers over the past 10 years. So I'm terribly grateful to live in Boston, to live near Dana-Farber, Mass General, and all that it has to offer. So thank you all, and thank you for this film. It is so heartwarming, and as I said, the last time I saw the film to Charlie, he taught me something that I couldn't have learned in more than 30 years as a therapist, and that is to never tip my head when I ask for help. So I can't tell you how often I think of that, Charlie, because my head tends to just sort of goes in this direction anyway. I just want to say, I'm going to get to your question, Susan, but I think this film is about spiritual struggle and certainly triumph. But I think until you get to that point, cancer is heart-stopping and it's messy and traumatic. And it's one of those experiences, like Bob said, it's like being shot out of a cannon, and you can't digest the experience before you are now involved in treatment. So I think what people go through and digest over a period of years is just enormous. And I know that my husband is a member of Charlie's group. Is it okay to say that? It's too late. Sorry, HIPAA and whatever else governs me. Don't report me. It's after hours. Okay, thank you for that exemption. I know that for my husband, just and I think for anyone in a support group, the universality, the normalization of experience, the ability to pull some along when you're doing better and others are doing worse, the hope that can come, the shared experience is just enormously helpful. I swear, honey, I don't hear what you're saying when you're downstairs on your Zoom calls, but I hear you laughing sometimes, and it just does my heart good to know that there's laughter that comes even in a cancer support group. So that is invaluable. And for caregivers, again, I think being able to share the experience, Susan, even a brief text back and forth now and then for people who know what it's like to go through it. Cancer patients and their family members are dealing with a similar trauma, but having very different struggles, and it's not always compatible to be talking to the person who's sick about what worries you, nor might they be inclined to share with you what's on their mind. So having somebody else who understands your path is immensely helpful. So
thank you, Ken.
This is a question for Michel. I thought your meditation with your voice was extremely beautiful, and I just wondered if you could tell us a little bit more about what you do.
First, I would like from all my heart to say how I admire each of you, and how I admire my brother Erich to make an incredible film. From my perspective as a meditation teacher, and I direct the meditation program for the prisoners of Los Angeles at Amity Foundation, we know by experience that to calm the mind, to quiet the mind, this is an incredible medicine for the patient, and I will say also for the family and the doctors. I will work in New York with some doctors and some patients. And it's fantastic to calm the mind to the doctor, to the patients, and to the family in the same time. So it will be an amazing experience that we will live in New York City in a few weeks. You have a question about meditation, but I have not exactly understood. You wanted something specific, you said?
I was just curious what it was exactly that you did, if you could just tell us a little more about it, because I found what you did with us really moving and very beautiful.
Oh, just I will say in 1 minute that so before to live in America, I live in a Buddhist monastery, and we learn in a monastic life the authenticity of the word meditation. The etymology of meditation doesn't mean at all the cliché, that we are like that. In Los Angeles, we do that. In a monastic life, we never do that. I'm so sorry. In Tibetan etymology, meditation means I train my mind in my daily life. So we can say today I train my mind in my daily stressful life. I saw today the research from Lancet, the Institute of Research. They say since the COVID-19, anxiety, depression, stress, plus 28%. So, to calm the mind must be, it's my only experience with the prisoners, but it must be without with exercise, without effort. We are unable to make an effort, and especially when someone is sick. So, meditation is not a technique, it's a transmission of energy. We share our calming energy. Me, I am a singer also, so I use my voice as a singer. And meditation becomes medication. It's a medication, it's a medicine. We calm the mind and poof, we feel better immediately. So, if you love meditation, I sing at Karakey Hall, I do my promotion. I sing the Christmas Eve concert at Karakey Hall. And at the end of the panel, we say with Erich, we will guide 1 more minute to calm the mind. Thank you so much to each of you. Thank you.
I'd like to add that meditation was something that I was introduced to a number of years ago to help me, because what I found would happen late at night, I would wake up and couldn't get back to sleep. And so I was taught some meditation practices, and it helped immensely to calm my mind. I would start ruminating about my cancer and about what's going to happen and what's the next thing. But I realized that getting no sleep was not going to help me, so I knew that I had to do something. And I do find the meditation helps me immensely. And so I strongly recommend it. And I've sought other alternative therapies, and just believe that it's the whole picture. You need the medical team, and you need the support, and you need so many other tools to help you through this journey.
Thank you very much.
I will just add something exactly as you said, that meditation must be combined with the doctor, with science. We cannot say, I have the solution. we must say we are the solution. We are the solution, hand by hand with Dr. all that you do, each of you, and to Karakey. All together, we must have this holistic approach, complementary.
Thank you. That brings me to my question, which is very much in a wavelength of what you're talking about. My name is Chris Larson. I'm 15 years out of glioblastoma. Keep on talking. What I wanted to know, Dr. when I was diagnosed, I just said to myself, this isn't going to get me. I'm not going to die from this. So that was a personal feeling that I had and I maintained throughout my whole treatment. But one of the things that I really felt was important was adjunctive or alternative medicine, Eastern medicine. And I went to see Dr. Chen in New York. You may know him. And he developed a plan of alternative medicine that adjuncted to my Western medicine. And the reason I ask is because when I brought this to my oncologist in New York, he said to me, and it really pissed me off, he said, well, whatever, you can try that mumbo jumbo. You know, it's not going to kill you. So, what are your thoughts on adjunctive medicine or alternative medicine?
I think, right now, we definitely don't have all the answers. And I think there's a lot of potential in these alternative medicines. I think we wish very much that there was more research, because if it works, we want to use it for everybody. And I think one of the challenges is that there's less research in those areas than we would like. But I mean, there's very likely to be things out there that we're not using routinely that we should be using. And so I think we're open to it. Some of them do interfere with can add to the side effects. So I think definitely you want to talk with the people advise you to use things that won't interfere with whatever other treatment you have. But I think we're open-minded to all these other approaches.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Is there, I guess that was probably maybe the last question. Is there any emergency questions that have to be right here?
Hi, my husband passed 2.5 years ago, survivor of 4.5 years, so surpassed the traditional 12 to 14 months. So I have 2 questions. One, from dietary, there wasn't anything specifically shared what Paul was doing and what your regimen is? And then the other question is, as far as going to Congress and sharing, your story and movie, and either getting additional funds from Congress to support additional research.
Those are great questions. And I can tell you that to the second point that yes, Erich and I have already been talking about doing some more advocacy work and working with some of the larger societies and cancer institutes and trying to get this movie shown to congressmen, senators, and try and drum up some support for more research for Dr. Wen, Dr. Reardon, for Sloan Kettering, for MD Anderson, for all of the amazing centers that we have in this country that are doing work on brain tumors and on glioblastoma. The first question, could you repeat again what that was? the dietary, I'm a bad person to ask. A lot of people espouse the keto diet. I do the exact opposite. I still put 2 tablespoons of sugar in every cup of coffee that I have. To me, the body needs sugar for it to run, and caffeine, lots of caffeine. I'm tired all the time. But to that end, we have talked many times with my team, with my family, and we've talked about just eating healthier. So eating more fruits and vegetables and eating a healthy diet. It's not going to the extreme, it's just working towards being healthy. And whatever healthy is for you. It's always a tough thing when people ask me, what was my trick? What did I do that was different? I have no idea, and honestly, I don't think my doctors do either. Because they look at me all the time and go, we can't figure you out. I break all of the molds, but the idea is, and the goal has always become now, is that what we want to do is treat this more as a chronic disease as opposed to a life sentence. And that's why we're trying to raise awareness about GBM and raise funds to increase research to cure GBMs or to bring it to that point where they're only being considered a chronic disease, where people are living a lot longer. And I tell people all the time, there's always the bell curve, and I'm way at the end, but I'm doing my damnedest to push it to the right as far as I can for everyone else out there.
I have Dr. Wayne. Thank you, Carl. That's a very good question. I was like, it's got to be something you can eat, right? I'm sitting in Dr. Wynn's office. I said, Dr. Wynn, what about eating really healthy? He goes, there's really nothing that's proven that eating healthy is going to help you out. I tell Charles this, and Charles goes, oh my God, I've been eating comfort food since I got diagnosed. I just eat whatever I want. He's still living. So, what would you say to that real quick, Dr. Throw it in the bus?
I think we should try to.
Well, it's funny because I told Dr. Reardon that, and his wife was standing right next to him, and she's a nutritionist, and she just almost fell over backwards. She's like, oh my God, I killed that guy. So we're going to go on to the raffle now. Thank you so much, guys. Give this panel a big warm welcome.
I'm so happy to see you there, and we just wondered how spirituality helps sustain Paul through his illness, or where spirituality plays a role. Right?
Good question.
Thank you for the question. I really appreciate what Dr. Wen said in the movie when he mentioned that it's we're complicated beings, we human beings, right? And we all have bodies, minds, spirits, and I think that it's all part of us. So to really look at each aspect as part of the healing process. The word healing is connected to the word for wholeness, right? And so the more we keep, I think when you get a diagnosis that's so frightening, to think about the full spectrum of opportunities that you can look to help you be healed and become more whole. So I, of course, think the spiritual piece is extremely important, but I want to thank all of you for all that you're doing. It is all of us working together, truly, and all of you working together to help to bring healing. Thank you.